We are officially live. Let's get after it, shall we? It is just about to hit 9:45. We are live on YouTube alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies.
I'm now currently fascinated by the concept of the curse of Kenny Payne. I'm sorry.
That's something you're workshopping right now. I'm still trying to workshop something.
Sorry.
Have I ever seen a game end like that with a lane violation?
No.
Nah. And look, man, I know that people just kind of sarcastically say Duke Carolina always delivers. I mean, yeah, man, it does. It does deliver. It delivers crazy stuff like this at the ACC tournament. And it's funny, like all the notes that I had for the first, let me see if I can like process my, what's kind of racing around in my brain after what we just witnessed in the second half of that game. I had jotted down all this stuff about Duke. No Cooper Flagg, no Maliq Brown. Heck, we had the slide ready to go. No Cooper Flagg, no problem based on what we saw in the first half. Carolina was down by as many as 24 points in this game. This was a game initially that looked like Duke was the team that was truly making a point, while Carolina, who also needed to make a point tonight, just didn't have it. And yet, and another thought, I thought this game was over after Van Allen Lubin took one of the most bizarre shots I've ever seen. And he still had like 10 seconds left on the shot clock. It's not like that was a shot he had to take, but he did. And it went viral. Obviously, we didn't see it on TV because we were here. And Ramses just puts his hands over his face to go viral in that moment. I was focused on Hubert Davis, who had spent up until that moment a lot of time doing his usual demonstrative Hubert Davis things. For a man who is as animated as he is on the sideline or in the huddle, the fact that he doesn't curse, I don't believe it. Not with that animated.
You didn't see it?
Dude, he's not cursing.
I know. He said, sit the fart down.
Right.
He literally says stuff like that.
I'm shocked that he's able to do that. That's what I'm saying. I'm shocked by
mindset.
That. I get it. But then that mindset.
You didn't curse on radio for 20 years.
I did it once. Regardless, I thought after that shot, it completely changed the dynamic of this game. Hubert looked like he wanted to be anywhere but there. I thought he was going to walk out at some point. Just his face was just completely, I can't believe this.
He was exacerbated by the first half. Carolina fell behind 45-24.
He was.
It did not look good for the Tar Heels. And in the second half, Van Allen Lubin, that's kind of what sucks about this.
Yeah.
He was the best player on the floor.
And yet,
20 points, 10 rebounds. He gets the ball, foul line, down one. And I get it. He's not a great free throw shooter, but misses the first, which was a killer, bounced out. Then you have the second one to tie it and potentially play for overtime, which was what it looked like it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if it was Withers. I don't know if it was the Duke player. They were kind of jousting. It happens. But all of a sudden, the arm goes up. The call is made. And I'm going, I looked at you. I looked at Dave Glenn. I said, I don't think I've ever seen a game decided like this.
But it was a lane violation.
No, it was legit.
It was a legit call.
It was legit.
I mean, he jumped so quick. Like, had they not called it, then we would be hearing it the other way. I know there's a lot of talk about officiating, but in that particular moment, that was the right call. And Jalen Withers after the game was in tears.
Yeah.
Like just crushed.
From Charlotte. Man. He's been an instrumental part of what they've been down the stretch. So listen, I'm under the belief that Carolina is going to make the NCAA tournament even with this loss. So I don't think this will be in the he just moved. He wasn't even jousting. I'm watching the replay now.
He just moved, man. It was brutal. Just absolutely brutal, man. Pressure situation, and that happens, man. I
thought it was one of those, when you're leaning on somebody and you're jousting for a spot.
He just jumped, man. That's tough, dude. That is tough. But I said this on social media, and I'll repeat it here. If you wanted a Cliff Notes of Carolina's season, tonight was the night. Just looking completely just outclassed by Duke. I had jotted down with Drake May and Sam Howell in attendance. That was an amazing tribute to their era of Carolina football, where big rivalry game that you need, whoopsies, didn't happen that way. I'm sure they were thinking, man, we've done this on the football field. What are you guys doing in this situation? I had the jokes. I was ready to go, locked and loaded. But then the Tar Heels did what they've done all season, and It's going to be interesting to see what the NCAA tournament committee thinks. To that end,
this is the bookend to the Florida loss here.
Yes.
Either one goes in their direction.
Yep.
We don't have to sit here and talk about they didn't do anything stupid. Well, here we are
No.
in they didn't do anything stupid portion of the programming.
All right.
Well, it's lighting in here. I feel like
I know we've been blessed by arena lighting, but we can't be out there while a game's going on. But you know who also is blessed with really horrific arena lighting? It's our guy, Patrick Stevens, Washington Post. He's joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Patrick, what's up, man?
Hey, fellas, how you doing?
We're good. So what is? Let's go into what that mean mode for the Tar Heels, because obviously we could talk about Duke and what it means going forward without Cooper Flagg and when we might see Cooper Flagg, but the Heels needed this one to really remove any question. Instead, they did what they've done a good chunk of the season against good teams. So what that mean for the NCAA tournament?
Well, as Joe pointed out earlier this week, you don't get credit for losses. Like, it's not close losses, not blowout losses. You don't get credit for that. So, it's nice that Carolina was right there at the end, had a chance to send it to overtime, all that. But this will be treated just like, for example, the Virginia Tech game against North Carolina, the certifiably insane game from Seth Greenberg back in 2008, I think it was.
Also in this building, yes.
So
there's a
history repeats, right?
Yeah.
So I think Carolina is right there on the edge, and there is a very short list of teams they will either be rooting for or against moving forward over the next 48 hours or so. It is basically VCU to win the A-10, Memphis to win the American, UC San Diego to win the Big West, and then to try to clear out Utah State – Colorado State and Boise State from the Mountain West. I mean, that's basically where things stand at the moment in terms of the edge of the field. It's basically been a very boring week overall. And so you look at that and Carolina and Texas were probably the two big movers. And it's not like Carolina moved a lot, but they moved a little bit. And then you had teams like Ohio State bow out the way they did. Xavier clearly messed up yesterday, losing a game that they should have won against Marquette. So I would say everything except that lane violation has gone about the way, North Carolina would have wanted it to this week.
Yeah, I have a question for you concerning Duke, because we heard Nate Oates today or yesterday. Are they trying to suggest that Duke's not a number one seed? Like, I'm confused out of what is coming out of. If you haven't seen Nate Oates' comment, and I missed the context of him, I apologize to my guy in T-Town. He said that we had more top 25 wins in like the last 7 games than the entire ACC combined. And I couldn't tell if he was like campaigning for like a third SEC team or a second SEC team. I feel like Houston's probably locked in there, but it just felt like there aren't really people who think Duke's not a number one, right?
I don't think so. I mean, I think they're pretty solidly the second number one. Remember, the committee did that bracket reveal a month ago, right? And Duke was what, the second or third team on the board at that point?
Yeah.
So they haven't lost since then, right? I mean, there's no reason to think that Duke would have stumbled in any way whatsoever. In terms of falling to like number 5. I mean, you could have seen a scenario where, maybe 2 of those SEC teams finished on a complete burner, and maybe Duke was the third number 1 seed at that stage. But at this point, number 1 in the net, number 1 in all of the predictive metrics, and 3rd, 6th, and 7th in the result-based metrics, and 8-3 in quad 1. I mean, 8-3, by the way, is probably a little bit better than 10-7, which happens to be Alabama's quad 1 record. So I think Duke is safely on the number 1 line, and I agree with you. I think Houston's safely there too.
3-bid league, 4 bids.
It's right on the line, and I think that's a resume that I'm going to be parsing over a lot here over the next couple days. And I look at Carolina like it's been the same story, right? Like the story for Carolina has not changed.
It's not
in the last month.
It
has been. It was, after they lost those 2 games to Duke and Clemson, it was, you've got to win all these games and you're not going to get much credit for it. Mm-hmm. And then you've got to go beat Duke. and they won all those games, and they're just not going to get a ton of credit for it, and they didn't beat Duke.
No.
So at the end of the day, there just isn't a whole lot to hang your hat on. And when you're 1-12 in quad one games, like it's not like you're a team out of the Big West or the Mountain West or something like that, and you only have so many opportunities. You have 13 opportunities. And at the end of the day, if they get left out, it's going to be because they simply weren't good enough to win games against tournament caliber teams.
All right, Patrick, I'm going to ask you to turn your analytical brain off and get into your political.
Not even possible.
I know it's not possible. I know. I asked.
I'm glad Joe said that. I'm glad Giglio said that first, because I didn't want to just dismiss your thought
It's
out
not
of
like I'm asking him to shift over to crazy Catman status, because that's when he and I could vibe, right? So what I'm asking you is there's the analytical portion of this. You can make all the arguments about how this selection committee might not be looking at net as stringent as they were in the past. We hear wins above the bubble. We're hearing more Ken Pom conversation. They're trying to message that it goes beyond just this straight net thing.
And it does. I mean, last year you had those Mountain West teams that were in like the 20s and whatnot, and off to Dayton with you. So,
but what I'm curious about is this the worst possible scenario for the Tar Heels to have your AD as the head of the selection committee,
where you're thinking that if they get included, that there's going to be massive conspiracy theories immediately saying, it's funny. I'm sitting here in Capital One Arena, formerly the Verizon Center in DC, and I'm thinking about a game that I saw here back in 2006 involving George Mason when they played UConn for a regional title. And George Mason was a somewhat controversial pick for a final at-large, one of the last couple at-larges. And guess who was on the committee that year? The George Mason AD. So, I don't think that at the end of the day, if they are included, you're not going to be able to stop people from saying, "Oh, well, they got him in." I think the committee's going to do the best job that it can, and I think you can make arguments for and against Carolina. I also think that if there is a surprise in one of these leagues, if say North Texas wins the American, if George Mason wins the A10, it might just make it easier, because that last spot in the field right now, I mean, whether it's Carolina or whether it's Xavier or whoever, those are teams that are really, really walking around with flawed resumes. And so it would actually probably make the committee's life easier if they just had an excuse to say, sorry, guys, neither one of you quite did enough this time around.
I don't see how it's a negative, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, he was on the committee 2 years ago when they didn't make it. So there's a clear pattern there of, if you deserve to be in, you deserve to be in.
Yeah, I don't think the committee is putting the thumb on the scale in that way.
Yeah.
I asked the question because that is something that will pop up.
Oh, it absolutely will.
I know the environment that we live in.
Unfortunately,
this kind of stuff.
Go back to Boo Corrigan being on the college football playoff committee and people blaming him for not standing up for the league. Right. Part of being on those committees is advocating for your league, and Bubba Cunningham is trying to advocate in this particular case for his team, which he's not allowed to do. You would imagine there are deals that are made. I just think if Carolina gets in, I don't think it's because, try to say this as concisely as I can. If Carolina gets in, I don't think it's because Bubba Cunningham is on the committee. I also don't think it hurts Carolina to have Bubba Cunningham on the committee. We've seen this before in baseball, and I'm sure it's happened in lacrosse, and you already brought up the George Mason. Famously, Ole Miss got into the baseball tournament the year NC State didn't with Tommy White. They were the last team in the field. They won the national championship. The head of the committee was the Mississippi State coach. So it was merely a guy looking out for his league. I wonder if there's some of that at play here too. So bottom line, I think Patrick's right. If some of these teams in the one bid leagues hold serve, I think there's room for Carolina. Maybe at Xavier's expense. Indiana and Ohio State forfeit their right by losing their first conference tournament game. That is one thing you can take with you to your grave of how every selection committee that's ever been ever breathed air will will disqualify you for not winning your first game in your conference tournament.
Well, I want to jump in on this one because I feel like you're right on Ohio State. I do think Indiana's overall profile is such that it's probably enough, in part because they do have the sweep of Ohio State. But they've won at Michigan State. They beat Purdue. They have no bad losses to speak of, not even in Quad 2. And all of their result-based metrics are in the top 50. So I think that Indiana is probably headed to Dayton. Probably the second, at this point, probably the second or the third team headed to Dayton. I think it's San Diego State, Vanderbilt, Indiana, North Carolina is what I had today. So
Indiana with their fired coach. So you're saying there's room for Indiana and Carolina.
I think that at the moment,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. We'll get out of here on this, Patrick. This is from Brian in the YouTube comments. So credit for blowout wins over garbage teams, see the Mountain West, but no credit for losses against multiple 1 and 2 seed line teams from November to December.
No, you don't get credit for losses. That's another one of those things you take to your grave. That's what it is.
You got to win.
They're not garbage teams out in Mountain West. Come on, they're just
I would point this out as we're, and it's funny. I've meant to write about this a little bit, that there's some people that are a little more bullish on Boise State and Colorado State than I am, in part because you have a committee that has 7 of the 12 members back from last year that undervalued a better Mountain West set of results last season. So why would you think that, frankly, weaker versions of both of those teams would get treated better this season, especially with a weaker version of the Mountain West in general? A couple of those teams are better, but a lot of them are quite a bit worse. So I tend to think that that's you can sit there and say, well, the Mountain West isn't great. The top teams are pretty good.
Gotcha.
But the overall league itself is not as good as it was last year, and I think that's inescapable.
Patrick Stevens, Washington Post. Hey, man, we appreciate it. As always, we appreciate your help. Let's check in on Monday's normal podcast if possible, so we can kind of do just a general, hey, did they get it right? Is Carolina
or
in?
Sunday.
Or Sunday.
We're doing a podcast on Sunday.
Depends on what time I get back from DC, man. I mean, hey, fingers crossed Jacob's playing in a hockey championship game, in a tournament championship game. I might be a little late. Otherwise, I'll be ready to go. So yeah, we'll see. But we'll be in touch, Patrick. I'll have my people call your people, aka I'll text you.
Thank you very much, fellas.
Bye.
Safe travels.
All right, man. Take it easy. So much to get into. But before we continue, I want to thank Hometown Realty for being our presenting sponsor of our ACC tournament coverage here in Charlotte at the 2025 ACC tournament. Check them out, myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. And I can't wait to do yet another end of show billboard for all of our corporate champions who make this possible. Of course, you make
got your oxygen ready.
I'm ready to go.
Okay.
My allergies are kicking in, but that's another story altogether. And of course, we cannot do this without you. So thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Get in the comments, hit the likes, follow us if you haven't followed us yet. And if you're listening on the podcast, by all means, review us. 5 stars only, positive vibes only. It helps with the algorithm. One thing that I was surprised by, and Carolina is, as we spend all that time talking about Carolina and the NCAA tournament possibilities and things like that, I'll just get back to what I said at the jump. Tonight was a Cliff Notes version of Carolina's season in one crucial, important game. And it happened again. How they do it varies, but it happened again. Unfortunately for Jalen Withers, that lane violation, crushing. But you kind of look at Duke, and if I'm John Shire, I'm looking at how they came out in that first half and I had it originally in the podcast description that Duke put it in Carolina's ear, Joe, in the first half.
First half, for sure.
But they got away from what was working. And I think the biggest issue, they called March Free Throw Awareness Month for a reason. And they ended up going 15 of 22 from the line. That's not good. Yeah. They missed crucial. There was I forgot who was it. Tyrese Proctor. He missed the front end of a 1-and-1, right? Like, you got to make that in situations when you get to the NCAA tournament, you lose games because of that, and your season's over. You and I were having this conversation on Press Row. that Shire's probably looking at this. If they lose it, hey man, no big deal. What'd you call it? House money?
Yeah.
But by getting the win, he's allowed now to go to the team and say, hey man, really good job understanding all your roles. We've worked to get to this point with no Cooper Flagg and no Maliq Brown. Everybody understood the assignment. You saw guys step up. Malwatch had a pretty big game.
He did. 13-9. He did fall out.
He did fall out.
I'll be honest. Van Allen Lubin kind of had his way with him around the basket.
That ended up happening. But
when Carolina went 3 for 17 from 3, dude. I mean,
yeah,
sometimes it's really not that. Like we can, I get it. Withers made a bad mistake. There are some Carolina fans who are still mad at him for the Alabama game last year.
Yeah.
I get those things, but they went 3 of 17 from 3. And again, I watching Carolina this week has been a little bit eye-opening in the sense that not a lot of their guys sweat.
Mm-hmm.
I find that odd. You know, it's the old CJ Leslie standard. You know, every time CJ had the misfortune of playing with Richard Dowell, who would just, you saw the effort pouring off of his body. I'm watching RJ Davis and I'm just like, where's the lather? I mean, he had 8 points tonight, missed all of his threes. It's non-factor in the basketball game. You know, I mean, I just don't get that. I don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
That's odd to me. I'm not saying he didn't try. I'm just saying that's odd. He goes long stretches without really being engaged. And I thought that in each of the last 2 games. You know, you're Carolina. You can't ask for anything more from Elliot Cadeau. 15 and 5, right? I mean, Van Allen Lubin 20 and 10. You know, Drake Powell was effective, 10 and 5, 14 from Trimble off the bench. Trimble was really the driving force behind the comeback in the second half. I mean, he played a whale of a game. But, I mean, RJ Davis is supposed to be your bus driver. And
yeah, that last shot is not what
it wasn't him. It was Lubin.
It was Lubin who ends up making the shot. What I'm saying is, I don't think that's what Hubert Davis drew up.
No, it's not.
That's not. But again, I guess to your point, that's the moment where RJ Davis does what RJ Davis is supposed to do, and it doesn't end up in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, against Florida in this building, he had a 3 that he missed, but he had a clean look.
Clean look. That's all you can ask.
And again, I thought, props to Duke. They showed out in this game. Fans, you know, there's been a lot of talk about, well, Charlotte is a Carolina town, and I do believe it is. But there was a lot of Duke here tonight. There was.
It's interesting.
They repped.
I think the result will still get people to be really, really upset at the season and where things are going with Hubert Davis and everything else. It was a Duke building. We've been here enough times for these types of games. Heck, all you got to do is go back to 2019.
I thought it was 50-50.
No, I thought it was predominantly a Duke crowd tonight.
In the second half?
Yes, even in the second half. I thought it was predominantly a Duke crowd.
Maybe we were watching 2 different things.
Well, also, we know your hearing sucks.
It does.
There's that too.
Yeah,
but my point is, you and I both know there's never a debate in this building.
Not really. No.
Never a debate in this
building.
There's
at least that.
But there's a debate tonight.
At least that.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. I'm giving Duke props. They showed out.
And Duke showed out. Carolina yesterday. There were Carolina fans here, but the Carolina fans were very much pessimistic about their ultimate chances. You know, not to call out our guy Julian Council, hung out with him a little bit. Big Tar Heel, Locked On Panthers podcast. Check it out. Come on, man. Support the man. He talks about the Panthers every day. Support Julian. Julian was very much like, cool, whatever. You know, he took care of business against Wake Forest. All right, now let's see what happens against Duke. Here we go. And as this game is unfolding in the first half, I'm just thinking to myself, the way the Tar Heel fans I'm seeing that I know, not just randos on the internet, like Tar Heel fans that I know, were teetering into forever grateful mode with Hubert Davis. Yeah. We've been joking about this with Kevin Keats at NC State, where all the people who were mad at State season, most of the calls, most of the texts to the sports phone were, hey, man, forever grateful of what happened in 2024, year of the Wolf.
But
however, I was talking to one Carolina person who said, yeah, we're probably at the point with Hubert. Again, this was at halftime. I was talking to a Carolina fan, and they were like, yeah, I mean, there's jokes on my group text where it's like, you know what? Build Hubert a statue for what he did in 22 and then fire him. So we're in forever grateful territory with some Tar Heel fans here. But
yeah,
and we'll have time to discuss this throughout the offseason, they are kind of getting with the program of what you see at Duke with Jim Tanner as the general manager. And we'll see what their offseason approach is going to be, regardless of what happens with the NCAA tournament. it doesn't matter if they make the tournament or not. We all understand that there are some changes in how they approach things that's about to unfold. It'll be really interesting to watch. Let's go to the sports phone, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
Of course, Sports Phone is brought to you by Nature's Relief. Check them out all across the triangle, various locations. Nature's Relief, hempstore.com, RELEAF, hempstore.com. When we do these live ones, as I like to say, I'm just raw dogging these calls. So let's go to a 704 number.
This is so freaking ridiculous. Look, I know that you guys are going to say that Hubert's not going to get fired this year. There's no way Carolina's going to do that this year, too. And I understand all of that. But just tell me this. Is there another play that they run other than high ball screens and hero ball? Is there anything else? It's just those two plays, and that's it. And now we have completely fallen apart. UNC at this point is a laughing stock, and this is ridiculous. There's no game plan. There's no adjustments. There's no plays. No, there's nothing to speak of, and Hubert does not have his team ready to play. And this falls on him.
This is from a text, 336.
I mean, hard not to argue with the start of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I did think Duke would come out with a little bit of fire based on the way that they played against Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
It made sense to me that Duke might look pretty good in the first half of this basketball game.
But they didn't, though. I mean, I jotted this down.
It wasn't that.
Yeah, Duke got pushed early, man.
It wasn't that. So in the end game play, you know, I kind of joked, well, Withers in the corner. And then I was like, no. It has to be Elliot Cadeau, because Elliot Cadeau's taken every last second 3-pointer this season, going back to the Kansas game, Notre Dame, and any other number of games where the ball seemingly lands in his hands. But yeah, I mean, it was not great. It was not great. Getting to the forever grateful portion of the programming, you know, I don't think it's a Jeremy Foley situation. What must be done eventually should be done immediately. I don't, but, and I don't think Carolina sees it that way either. I know their fans do. I understand the fans do. But Hubert did not help himself. And just as state coaches help themselves by performing against Carolina coaches can help themselves by performing against Duke. Hubert has two very, very, very big wins over Duke. But, you know, some of those memories seem to be fading.
All right,
This is so freaking ridiculous.
Okay, I already played that one. I want to make sure I delete that one. Go to the text here from the 336. Everyone get the jokes in now for the Heels. They are deserved, and this program needs to hear them. Duke brought knives to a gunfight last year, then turned around and brought a bazooka this year. Spend $12 million, you win $12 million prizes. UNC will be back, and we ask that you keep that same energy. Good day to be a Tar Heel. This is from a 910.
Man, UNC is hot garbage. And so is Hubert. Everybody knows Duke's elite. John Shire's a great coach. But Will Wade to NC State, baby. I can't wait until Will Wade is riding down Wade Avenue into downtown Raleigh to celebrate our 5th national championship in a row over the course of the next 6 years. We're taking over. We are Tobacco Road. NC State or bust. Go Pack. Carolina sucks.
By the way, do we have any updates?
More meetings today.
Okay, should we go through some more calls, or do you want to go into Joey Giggs right now?
I mean, there's clearly, state the obvious. If you've met twice, you're a little bit past the.
Wait. Hold on a second. Then, if we're doing this,
okay.
If we're doing this, we're going to do it. Okay, we're gonna hit you with the Joey Giggs. All right, so let's do this.
Woke up this morning, tracked myself a flight. Might get a top candidate if the pizza's right. Wade or Gainey, will it be, or somebody new? Here's your chance to make your mark, a coach emotion surge with boo.
All right.
Welcome this morning.
What's Joey Giggs got?
More meetings. That's a second meaning. There's a little bit more than just interest there. You're starting to figure some things out with Will Wade. Now, McNeese has to play in the NCAA tournament. That doesn't mean that you can't make a deal before. It would obviously wouldn't be the first coach in the history of the world to make a deal to leave a job, less than mid-major where he is to go to a major program. But the thing that you have to remember with Will Wade is there's some patience involved there with Will. And I think he's always going to look at his options. That doesn't mean NC State can't be his option. I think if the choice becomes State or McNeese, well, then he's NC State's basketball coach. If other teams become options, I think that's where this financial commitment portion is really going to be tested, because NC State can say that they're now financially committed, but the last 2 to 3 years and more have suggested that they're not. So you're going to go by the background rather than just a promise. And I think if he is presented with a choice that says, here's one power program and here's NC State, and he knows what their financial commitment is and not just a hope and a wish from State, those are two different things. Doesn't mean he can't be NC State's coach. But I do think, the idea that he would just jump like Jay Lucas, I don't think that's a real possibility. He's gonna coach McNeese in the NCAA tournament.
Okay. That is your Joey Giggs update. Back to the sports phone. This is from a 704.
Hey guys, just tuning into the.
Oh, guess his phone cut off. Let's try another one here.
Hey guys, I'm currently watching a Coach K special unfold in Charlotte. Do you know how to say "put it in their ear" in Polish?
It was a Coach K special on multiple fronts, by the way.
For a while.
It did look like it was one of the, do you need this to get in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah.
But there also was a nasty habit that I've seen with Coach K teams where, hey, guys, grind the freaking game out. Grind it out. And I was slightly surprised that Duke could not execute down the stretch given how they had played in the first half. And again, I just go back to what I said. John Shire can look at this game and tell them, hey, you guys were fortunate to win. You're going to run into teams like this in the NCAA tournament. Don't get the lemon booty. One quick note, as I'm seeing now on social media, no Cooper Flagg tomorrow in the championship game. If I'm doing this, Cooper Flagg maybe starts in their first game, potentially in Raleigh, and plays for a bit, but doesn't play the full game because hopefully that game for Duke is in the bag. It's done. But ultimately, I wouldn't even play him until Sunday. I mean, I'm assuming they're going to go Friday, Sunday, right?
Yeah, that's the Raleigh schedule.
That's the Raleigh schedule, right? Yeah. So that's what I would do, but I understand that you probably want to get him out there to test the ankle in the NCAA tournament rather than getting him out there cold on Sunday. But yeah, what I said after the Shire press conference yesterday clearly is holding true. The way Shire talked and the way Duke is built, they don't need Cooper Flagg to win the ACC tournament. The reason why I got so tight today really came down to free throw shooting, in my opinion, for Duke. There's a lot of complaining in the YouTube chat about calls. UNC quit crying about no calls. UNC at home versus Duke was mug ball with Duke getting no calls with all the hacking. And I understand.
I thought it was a physical game.
It was a physical game.
Yeah.
It was a physical game. Sometimes physical games happen. Let's see. 919.
Oh, poor UNC. What a great effort. I'm so proud of them. It's not like they have more McDonald's All-Americans on their team than half the ACC has in their entire history. They're treating them like some mid-major. Who gives a shit if they played close? They lost. Keep them out. Fuck Hubert and his tight golf pants. Bye.
His what? His tight golf pants. Oh, man. Yeah, maybe they should switch to Roback. Just a thought.
Comfortable.
Just a thought. All right. 919.
Hey, guys. I have no dog in this UNC Duke fight, and I was watching y'all show yesterday, and you were saying how, UNC should look at this as like the perfect opportunity to strike, and with Cooper Flagg out, they can really, take them on. But I was looking at this and thinking, man, in the back of my mind, if I was a UNC player, I would be thinking, shit, if we lose this game while Cooper Flagg is out, it just proves how we aren't on the same level as them. And that type of fear and anxiety can really affect your game. And just judging how this first half has gone, it looks exactly like that. I still think Carolina might make the dance, but if they do, they truly don't deserve it. Whew.
This is from a text from 919. Our shooting was horrific. The refs were against us. We lost by 1 to the national favorite. Fuck you to everyone who says it's a coaching problem. This was accuracy, not effort. The game was within the margin of goaltending calls.
There were a lot of goaltending.
3.
Calls.
There were 2.
My goodness.
There were 2 in the first 10 minutes of the game, which I was surprised by. And then there was one that they had to review to have the goaltending stand, which I think gave Trimble an and 1 in that situation. And from Martin, I think I might have misspoke. They were trying to play burn the clock, which like 12 minutes. That was the mistake. I don't know. I'm tired. I'm not caffeinated enough. When I say the other Coach K special, we've seen Coach K try to grind out games. Just play the game. He was taking the air out of the ball. He would do that a lot and would get games tighter than they need to be.
Yeah.
That was Coach K special back. I've seen that so many times at Cameron, and I started to see that, and it's just like play the game. Just play the game.
He used to do that when he had to play guys heavy minutes.
Yeah.
With Reddick, he would do that a lot.
Yeah.
You borrow a page from Dean Smith. So,
well, speaking of the Dean Smith, Roy Williams stuff, I know in the first half, I don't think Hubert used his use it or lose it timeout in the last 8 minutes of the first half, and a lot of folks were just like, Hubert, call a freaking timeout.
There's 28 different stoppages.
I know there was no flow in that first part. No flow in that first part. All right, let's go back to the sports phone. This is from another 919.
What's up, Joe and Joe? Wanted to speak about the star rise of Con Knippel here in the ACC tournament, as he has elevated his game in the absence of Cooper Flagg. And I think that his powers can be associated directly to that little nut duster that he's grown for the ACC tournament. I don't know how else to describe that this facial hair has elevated his game and has made him more likable. He just looks like, the guy at the Y who just has game that everyone envies. And I think it all can be tied back to his decision to grow facial hair. All right, thanks. See ya. Go Duke.
Did he call it a nut buster?
A nut buster. I love taking these calls.
Am I being educated right now? Should I know?
I love
what a nut buster is?
Do I need to look that up on? Hold on a second.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think the Spectrum Center.
I don't think
they don't care
the result that you want potentially.
Yeah, I don't think so. There's the nut buster tool. Things that you can use to get a stuck nut, if you will. Right. I'm on Amazon right now looking at nut buster tool.
Well, you know how I feel about Knippel.
Yeah, I know.
I think he has to be the bus driver. Interesting.
Well, that was
72-71. He gets the ball top of the key. And I was like, okay, all right, it's established. Now we know the answer.
Oh, he said nut duster. Nut duster.
Duster.
Okay.
Duster. Oh,
okay.
I think he's meaning,
I see. Yeah.
I think he means in a negative sexual way.
I think he meant that in a negative
potentially homosexual way.
Yes, I believe that is what he said. Again, sometimes I regret taking these calls raw, but we find out things all the time. New terminology. I hadn't heard that one before. All right, from a 919.
Hey, Joe. Just leaving Lenovo Center. I don't know what everyone's talking about. As far as I'm concerned, Carolina won.
Oh.
My Carolina did. Just kidding. In all seriousness, enough of this forever grateful bullshit. Okay, this season is not from a large scale point of view, not on Hubert. This season has been a failure of Bubba and the UNC administration to look at the college landscape, how it is, and invest properly to give him an infrastructure he needs to succeed today. Bubba was too focused on football and too focused on building it in there, and he left the crown jewel behind. Hubert deserves at least one more season, one more chance with the proper infrastructure in. And I think that second half, and frankly, all the comebacks this year can show that Hubert is a damn good coach. Not perfect, but a damn good coach that can make adjustments on the fly and keep a historically undersized, a comically undersized Carolina competitive with arguably the best team in the country. At least one more year.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're headed. That's kind of where we're headed. Oh, are you reading that comment now too? Do I just put it up here? I'll put it up. It's that kind of night. Who'd y'all have to blow to get those seats? I didn't get a screenshot, but I did see you guys multiple times. Ludicrous.
Jeez.
Come on, guys.
Come
What is happening?
What happened?
What is happening? No, the
Nut
reason why we have
busting.
the reason why we have those seats is because we're like the last men standing when it comes to media. That's why. Like we are basically winning by outlasting everybody. That's why we get seats like that. We've lost control. Anyway, Ken, Giglio must have broken out the nose. You guys, man. You guys are ridiculous. Absolutely freaking ridiculous. All right, let's go to another 919.
Oh my God. I would hate to be that man this evening. Listen, all due respect, that was an incredible comeback, but brother, you can't do that shit. Go Duke, go to hell Carolina. We'll see you next week.
It's tough, man. Absolutely tough. Anything else we want to hit before we get out of here?
I'm mad at this one person now, man.
What?
I technically have one, other than my axioms. I have one thing going for me in my life.
Yeah.
Especially as 50 is creeping.
Yeah.
I gotta find it. Hold, please.
Okay.
You want to start getting your breath ready?
Yeah, I guess if we're gonna start doing the billboard, we might as well get ready
like,
here.
Trev, man, come on. Come on.
Your hair's been an adventure all week. Dude.
I know.
Did you forget that? Did you forget the gel? You didn't want to drop $20 at the Whole Foods
20,
for the
28.
the artisanal hair gel, like you did that one year.
Brooklyn was 28.
That's right. That's right. Brooklyn.
Worse and worse. Trev. Hey man, let me see you at 50, okay? Mm-hmm. There we go.
Hey, you know what?
There we go.
At least Giglio has hair. This, man, I'm holding on best I can. I'm holding on.
You
best
made a
I
decision, sir.
Yeah, there have been some decisions made. I'm not quite there yet on the decisions. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for this OG Live. We will be back at it on Sunday at some point. At some point, we'll be back.
You're going up to DC.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna drive 6 hours in the morning so I can go watch some youth hockey, close out the season.
Do it right
for the Junior Canes. So I'm leaving. Usually, wild things happen when I leave the ACC tournament early.
Oh boy! So maybe I'll be ready tomorrow.
So maybe stay ready, All-Star, man.
The All-Stars.
I mean, what's the Clemson Louisville score right now? Got halftime. Where are we at?
21-19 Louisville.
Okay.
7 minutes left in the first quarter.
I mean, you could be witnessing history tomorrow with Clemson winning their first ACC tournament.
Could be.
You never know, man. You never know. But when I leave, things happen. All right. So thanks to everybody who's been watching. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for the sports phone calls. Thanks to Patrick Stevens for giving us an update on the NCAA tournament stuff for North Carolina. And of course, big thanks to Hometown Realty for sponsoring our ACC tournament coverage, which means it's time to close things up and to give you the ACC tournament billboard.
I feel like I should get you some Tonight Show music or something.
Let's see if I still got it. Let's see if I can do this. All right. In 3, 2. Ovies and Giglio at the 2025 ACC tournament has been brought to you by Keller Williams Commercial Real Estate. The Donnelly team, Brian and Julie, are going to help you out with your commercial real estate needs. Do you need an entire warehouse for your bobbleheads like Patrick Stevens? They got you. Miller Lending, millerlending.com/the OG. Tell them we sent you, and there could be a Raleigh Wine Shop gift basket in your future.
Very sweet gift basket.
O2 Fitness, more than a gym. We know this with Renew Physiotherapy, livethrive.co, and of course, Loop Nutrition. But they have an excellent gym, and I will need to hit that gym when we're done with the ACC tournament because I have had copious amounts of beige food and a lot of oysters. A lot
It's
of
an odd
oysters on this
combo.
trip, man.
An odd combo.
A lot of beige oyster. Not
Beige
no,
oysters.
hopefully no beige oysters. Otherwise, you would not have seen me today. You would not have seen me today. Maybe I would have been live from the bathroom. Speaking of which, if you had a lot of beige food and potentially a bad oyster and your toilet's fucked, you know who you should call?
It's the weekend. That's when it happens.
That's when it happens. 1-800-PLUMBER and air. 1-800-PLUMBER.com. The name is in the number. The number is in the name. 24-hour, 24/7 support after you've had that bad oyster. Nothing's bad at the Butcher's Market. Butchersmarkets.com. We're very, very close to Carolina Hurricanes tailgate season, and the Butcher's Market is going to help you out with that. Breeze through. They're right by the arena. So if you need to get some Zins and some Celsius ahead of a Hurricanes game, they got you. All right?
And Angel just got their wings back.
Plus cheap water and other goods and lottery tickets. Don't forget they got lottery tickets. They got winners there.
Was it Pittsburgh? $250K?
I think so. Yeah, man.
Jeez.
I think my dad has spent $250K on scratchers and has never made his money back. But hit breezethrough.com. Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority, bugsbite.com. It is officially that time of the year. All that green stuff, the pollen, those horny trees, man, all over your car. Guess what? That means the mosquitoes aren't too far away. So what you need to do is contact bugsbite.com. Home Field, Hoop Society, baby. They dropped some new shooting shirts. They are slick. And if you have not used our promo code yet, OG24, do it now with the Hoop Society boxes. They are fantastic. A great deal. Incredible hoodies. So get on that now. Matt Davis of State Farm. We know he's happy. InsureGarner.com, or you just call him direct. But go to the OG Insurance, or I'm sorry, just go to InsureGarner.com, and he can help you save money on home and auto.
Give me that quote, because we have tickets.
For which game?
We have tickets for March 25th.
Okay.
That is the game that we have. It's a Tuesday, 7 o'clock game against Nashville. We also have tickets for the April 13th game, which will be unofficially an OG tailgate. That's a 5 o'clock game on Sunday. So all you need to do is get us a quote, your proof of your quote from Matt Davis. Email it to me, giglio.joe@gmail.com.
Of course, our friends at Longleaf Swine. Check them out online at longleafswine.com. You're thinking about brunch options this weekend? Go to Longleaf. The brunch specials on Sunday are absolutely fantastic. And we'll be there next week for the NCAA tournament. Roback. Joe has been officially furnished by our friends at Roback all week. People have been absolutely jealous of his quarter zips. And he's rocking it on I keep wanting to say that's like a Miami Dolphins thing, but it's green. It's really about the U. So go to roback.com. Use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order.
I'm mad I didn't bring my Boston College stuff, because I want to rep every team that's not at the ACC tournament next year. Remind me. And I'll make sure.
Jim Phillips gets to wear his BC tie all week if he wants to. His NC State tie all week if he wants to.
I was disappointed. We saw him today. He did not have red on, but I think it's because Louisville's playing this night game.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's because
at first I'm like, hey, man, the forever champs, you should really – actually, they're not the forever champs. They're the alpha and omega champs.
This is true.
They are the forever alpha and omega champs.
All I know is that NC State's gone undefeated in the last 2 ACC tournaments. Can't take that away from them. Just like you can't take away – my dignity. You can't take away all the bad decisions you might have made eating wise this past weekend like I did, but you can make the change and go to Happy and Hail and get something filling but also good for you. Smoothies, bowls, they've got it. Happy and Hail. Make sure you use the promo code OG25 when you download the app.
Keep those emails coming. giglio.joe@gmail.com. Have seen a lot of traffic for our friends over at Happy and Hail. OG25, save 25% on your order on the app, and you can win the executive black card.
Amazing. And then, of course, Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online, wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. Shady's will be the official spot for our OG birthday party.
Yeah, you owe me a graphic.
I know. We do need a graphic for
look,
that.
we both clicked on the same thing at the same time.
What? That one?
Daniel. Yeah.
I just uploaded it. So let me play that one when it's done processing. I will do that, but I have to do our last corporate champion. I save the best for last. 2 Roosters. 2roosters.com. Look, if you want to blame 2 Roosters and the buy one, get one for not winning a road game all damn year, okay, fine. They own it.
Or if you want to give 2 Roosters credit for Will Wade now.
Well, what if they don't get Will Wade? All I'm saying is that will
soothe your feelings.
That will not be 2 Roosters' fault, okay? They did not do a buy one, get one on coaching searches. just on road games. So if they don't get Will Wade, they didn't get the coach you want. Don't blame Two Roosters. But if you want to eat your feelings, well, that's where Two Roosters come in. So thanks to all our corporate champions. And yes, Daniel wants us to play one more 919. This is the last one that I received, so I think this is the call. Let's play it.
Hey, I'm just calling responding to that Wade Avenue NC State fan, correct? Okay. You're comparing a hypothetical NC State team to this year's Carolina team. No. If we're going to live in the present, we're going to live in the present. How has NC State done in the ACC tournament? Oh, wait, that's motherfucking right. Okay? Don't hate from outside the club. Don't live vicariously through Duke. That's coward shit. Wolves down, little brother.
You know what?
Look,
man, if that, hey. If Daniel, I'm assuming you're a Carolina, I think, yeah, you're a Carolina fan, obviously. If that's what's going to help you get through the night, hey, man, I ain't knocking it. I know, that's what I'm saying. That's what's part of it. Yeah. Okay? I mean, you're the one who's cooking up new rivalry rules, too, by the way. I'm just saying. That's what makes this go. So, yes.
Not as juicy as you people want it.
I'm here. I'm absolutely here for it. That's why we do what we do, okay? That's why we do this. So that guys like Daniel can call the sports phone and be like, can't hate from outside the club. So all here for it, man. All here for it. All right, that's going to wrap it up for our coverage. We will see you theoretically Sunday after the NCAA bracket has been revealed. We'll see you then.